that was all off the record. Yeah, good morning. We welcome Chairman Andy Bautista and the lone female commissioner, no? Bing Guanzon, Commissioner Louis De Guia, Commissioner Christian Robert Lim. You're the IT expert, diba, Commissioner Lim? Si Commissioner Pareño ba? Sino mas magaling sa inyo sa IT? Who can explain? Okay. Commissioner Al Pareño, Commissioner Arthur Lim, whom I knew from the mountains and the jungles, right? A lawyer of Nurmiswari. 2 years after the siege, he's missing. Where is he? I think you know where he is. Still around. Say hello to my good friend, Commissioner Sharif Abbas. Yes. So welcome to the Senate, and we would like to see your presentation. What are you going to use? I'm not updated with COMELEC issues. Is it still the 2010, 2013? Because
Madam Chair, we will be renting out new machines which are an upgraded version of what we used in 2010 and 2013.
And, is it Smartmatic that won the bid?
Smartmatic won the bid.
Still Smartmatic?
Still Smartmatic.
I thought they were difficult to deal with, or they seemed like there were issues against them.
Well, there are, I would say, a lot of noise against them, but they won in the bidding.
The hybrid will not happen?
We tried the hybrid out, no? We
Yes.
actually did an end-to-end demonstration last June 27, 2015, wherein we had a mock election at the Bacoor National High School, and it's just difficult, tedious. The teachers are not happy. The COMELEC field personnel said that because of the way that our elections are being conducted, as you know, there are about 18,000 positions up for grabs in 2016.
I'm not techie at all, and the two IT experts can kindly explain. This is before your presentation. There always, in any election, there's always going to be a complainant. And they said that in 2010, in 2013, there were manipulations in the PCOS. Of course, we don't understand that. We don't know that. It's difficult to substantiate that, whether it really happened or not. My simple question from a non-technical point of view is, can you actually pre-program the PCOS machines for the results desired? And who can control that?
Your Honor, as part of the protocols for the PCOS is that you have a final sealing and testing that happens 7 days before the elections at least. Based on that, if you pre-program a PCOS, the results will come out different, and you can easily detect that there's been a attempt to defraud. No, on election day, part of the protocols is a re-zero, meaning any data that is contained in the CF cards is being wiped clean for purposes of elections. No, that is the safeguard that there is no content inside the CF card giving certain votes to certain candidates, Your Honor. And third, Your Honor, and this is where we are very confident, is that the source code of the program itself undergoes a international certification test by an international certification entity accredited by the federal government of the United States, and they will certify that there are no malicious lines in the program that will alter the results different to what is actually being voted upon. And this produces a certain code. We call it a hash code, Your Honor, and this hash code is printed in all official documents generated by the PCOS. So the moment the hash code becomes different, then you know that the PCOS has been tampered with or the certain program has been changed.
Presentation first, yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair, for this opportunity to present our proposed budget for 2016. As you can see, the entire 7-member commission is here this morning. And at this juncture, I would like to ask our Director of Finance, Attorney Leia Alarcon, to do the presentation in terms of our budget.
With your permission, Your Honor. Good morning, Your Honor. We are from the Commission on Election, and this is the National Expenditure Program of the Commission for the year 2016. The total national expenditure program for 2016 is 15,653,045,000 pesos, as against that proposed by the Commission, which is 20,308,576,000 pesos. Your Honor, please, this slide represents the difference in the increase or decrease of the proposal of the Commission as against that provided in the NEP. As you can see, Your Honor, please, in the program, there is a decrease in 30%, while for the projects or locally funded projects, it's negative 21%, or a decrease of 21%, for a total of 23% in all in the national expenditure program, or a decrease in the amount of 4,655,531,000 pesos. Your Honor, please, this is a representation of the specific items of expenditure for personal services in the regular program. As you can see, there are items which were decreased, but also notably there were items that was not even requested by the Commission but were given provisions by the DBM, like the step increment meritorious performance, as well as the productivity enhancement incentive. All in all, Your Honor, please, for the personal services, the total is 2,065,191,000 pesos. For our regular operations, for maintenance and other operating expenses, again, Your Honor, please, there were items that were decreased in amount, and there were items that were not provided for. The total amount for the maintenance and other operating expenses of the Commission is 634,304,000 pesos. The Commission requested for provisions for capital outlay. However, in the National Expenditure Program, none were provided. Your Honor, please, all in all, for the regular program of the Commission, the total is 2,699,495,000 pesos. For the year 2016, 4 projects were allowed, and the first is for the national and local elections, the basis for which is a clustering of precincts in the total of 110,000 precincts. Projected number of registered voters is 60,466,690 voters. For its particulars for PS or personnel services, the provision given are for per dimes, composed of the per dimes of the Board of Election Inspectors, the DepEd supervisors, the DepEd support staff, as well as the provincial, city, and municipal treasurers. And the amount is 1,527,648,000 pesos. There is also a provision for wages of casuals that will be hired for the main and field offices, overtime provisions, honoraria that will be given for the Board of Canvassers, like the Provincial Board of Canvassers, the City and Municipal Board, in the amount of 155,340,000 pesos. For the 2016 elections, we are given a provision for insurance in the amount of 30 million pesos. All in all, Your Honor, please, for personal services, for NLE, the total is 2,777,623,000 pesos. The next is the MOOE, or maintenance and other operating expenses. There are provisions for traveling expenses, communication services, freight and transportation, supplies and materials, training and seminars, publication, advertising expenses, as well as the other maintenance and operating expenses. All in all, Your Honor, please, the total for MOOE is 3,482,498,000 pesos. The grand total for the provision of the National Expenditure Program for the year 2016 is 6,260,121,000 pesos. The next project, given provision in the NEP, Your Honor, please, is for the Office of the Foreign Overseas Voters, with provisions for wages, overtime, and honoraria. The total for PS is 124,912,000 pesos. For MOOE of the OFOB, provisions are given for traveling, communication services, supplies and materials, and publication and campaign advertising expenses, as well as other services, transportation and delivery expenses, the total for which is 68 million pesos. The grand total for the Office of the Foreign Overseas Voters is 192,912,000 pesos. Your Honor, please, for the next project, it's provisions for the SK and barangay registration or the Sangguniang Kabataan and barangay registrations, with provisions for personal services in the total of 212,000, total for which is 506,224,000 pesos. The last provision for its projects for the year 2016, Your Honor, please, is for the SK and barangay elections, with provisions for personal services like per diems, wages, overtime, honoraria, and insurance in the amount of 3,611,481,000 pesos. Your Honor, please, there are provisions also for the MOOE for traveling, freight and transportation, supplies and materials, trainings and seminars, other maintenance and operating expenses, as well as mobile communications in the total amount of 2,382,762,000 pesos for the total of 5,994,243,000 pesos for the SK and barangay elections. Your Honor, please, these slides represents the comparative budget for the elections, for the preparatory activities and the election in 2009. As you can see, Your Honor, please, the GAA for 2009 was 13,132,406,000 pesos. For the NLE or National Local Election in the year 2010, it's 5,216,536,000, a grand total of 18,348,942,000 pesos was the provision for preparatory activities as well as the conduct of the actual elections in 2010. For this year as well as for 2016, the provision is 12,642,880,000 pesos for the PNLE, while for 2016, the provision is 6,260,121,000 pesos, for a total of 18,903,001,000 pesos. Given a comparison, Your Honor, please, there is a difference of only 3.02%, or an increase for the conduct of the election in 2016 in the amount of 554,059,000 pesos. With that, Your Honor, please, we submit to you the National Expenditure Program of the Commission and hope for your consideration and approval of the same. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Chair Andy.
Yes, I just wanted to emphasize the last point of Director Alarcon, that if you compare the budget for the 2010 elections versus the current budget that we are asking for, there is just a difference of 3.02%, or an increase of about 554 million after 6 years.
What was the total voting population in 2010 and in 2016? The total voting population in 2010 and the turnout, and the registered voters, and then the turnout in 2010, and then 2013, and then 2016.
For 2010, Your Honor, the total registered voters was more or less 50 million.
50.
50.
Yes.
I'm still getting data on the
turnout.
turnout, Your Honor. And for
Yes.
2013, the total registered voters was 52 million. For 2016, the projected total registered is about 54 to 54.5 million voters, Your Honor.
We assume that they have registered via biometrics.
For 2016, Your Honor.
Kung walang biometrics, walang boto.
They will be deactivated, Your Honor.
Naka-biometric.
I think in terms of voter, you turn out 75%. In 2010, if I recall right, it was 75%, and then in 2013, it was 77%. High nga for a midterm. Di ba? Yun ang ano.
Do you expect the turnout to be in 2016, considering the need for biometrics? And how many of those who voted in 2010 and 13 don't have the biometrics and could be disenfranchised?
If I may answer, Chair. Initially, Your Honor, we started with 9.6 million voters who do not have biometrics. As of this date, it's just about 3.4 million left. Whereas
We'll have time to register them?
the last day is October 31. We're campaigning intensely to make sure that these voters submit their biometrics.
We'll be strict about it, no biometrics, no vote.
That's the law, Your Honor, passed. Yes, yes, Your Honor. In fact, Your Honor, what will
Walang
happen?
pakiusap dyan, ah.
Yes, what will happen, Your Honor, is that the voters without biometrics will be deactivated, and on the election day computerized voters list, those without biometrics will be removed from the voters list, Your Honor.
It's possible that those without biometrics are those from the DE class. In the farthest areas of our country, possibly the Lumads of Mindanao, possibly the indigenous peoples from the Cordilleras, possibly those who don't have communications, meaning radio, TV, print, who don't have internet, who don't even know what biometrics means, who are not reached by information, right? So how do you reach out to them? Because 3.6 million disenfranchised, and especially this sector are very important. We know in presidential, vice presidential elections, senatorial differences of 100,000 could make a lot of difference. And the DE class, they are the voices we want to hear in the elections. So how do you make sure, you're saying the 3.6 million is what you have from 2013. These are those who voted, who were allowed to vote without biometrics?
No, Your Honor. From 9.6, we have whittled down to just 3.4. We started with 9.6 in May of 2014.
The 3.4, what is your basis for 3.4? Those who are registered
Yes, Your Honor.
na manual, na
Yes, Your
mano-mano.
Honor.
Yes. So, of the 3.4, maari kayang may mga namatay na.
Possible,
Yes.
Your Honor.
So, dapat i-strike out yung namatay. Pero ilan lang siguro yung namatay dyan at ilan yung hindi pa alam or hindi pa nakakarehistro sa biometrics.
Yes, Your
So,
Honor.
that's very important. That's a huge chunk. Uh-uh.
One part of the program is that in May 2014, we required every election officer to conduct satellite registration in at least once in every barangay under his jurisdiction, Your Honor.
Do you have
Yes, Your Honor.
doon pa? Region 3 and 4. Oh, so it's not even the far-flung areas.
And also, Your Honor, if I may add, as you know, the purpose of the biometrics law is to cleanse the voters list. As you pointed out, yung mga namatay na, and then, aside from that, yung mga double registrants, yung mga flying voters, yan ang gusto natin tanggalin, no? Another thing that we would like to report is that the Commission has a commissioner in charge in respect of PWDs, mga indigenous peoples. That's Commissioner Louis Guia, and he has programs that kumbaga are created in order to reach out, you know, especially to them, to make sure that they are not disenfranchised.
Now that you've said that it's regions 3 and 4, then you can compel your regional directors to deliver, to make sure that there's massive IEC campaign for those two regions. It's not very difficult to reach.
That's correct, Your Honor. And then, you know, another thing that we've done in order to try and you know, to make it easy for our voters to register or to validate their biometrics is that we have an ongoing satellite registration program with various malls all over the country. So there are over 200 malls that are helping out the...
Kindly tell us what is a
Comelec.
satellite.
Well, essentially, instead of our voters going to the Comelec offices, they can go to the mall.
Administered by
weekends.
Comelec personnel, of
That's
course.
correct, yeah.
Okay, and they just register there.
That's correct.
As simple as that.
That's simple. So again,
The
and
physical presence of the Comelec personnel are there in those satellite Comelec registration centers, booths in these 200 malls.
that's correct.
In regions 3 and 4 or everywhere all over the
all
country?
over the country.
And
But
that's
as you
till
know, though,
October
that there are
31.
more malls in the, you know, in regions 3 and 4 and NCR.
Maybe, you know, the Filipino mentality of
Last
deadline na, last minute. Is this a non-extendable deadline of
You know,
October 31?
that I think, yeah, because as you know, we are also deep into the preparations for 2016, and if we extend the deadline, it might have an impact in respect of printing the ballot, making sure that other preparations are not impacted.
Yes.
No?
How is it going to be? Binibilugan pa rin?
Shading.
Shading.
Shading, yes.
Bilog.
Oval na, yeah, sinishade na yung
It's oval pala. Yes. It's not a check, no?
No,
It's not an X. You shade it.
that's correct.
And how many positions in one ballot?
Over 18,000 positions are up for grabs in 2016. I think
one ballot-
there's some marks at 7 to 11.
How many
Your
will you
Honor,
vote for?
between 32 to 35 positions on a regular. For ARM, it may reach up to 40 positions.
So 32.
7 to 11.
How many
Your
will you
Honor,
vote for?
between 32 to 35 positions on a regular. For ARM, it may reach up to 40 positions.
So 32.
Yes.
And how are the senatorial candidates going to be arranged? Alphabetically or
Alphabetically by surname, Your Honor.
previously it was not alphabetical? How was it in 2013?
It was alphabetical,
Was it
Your Honor.
alphabetical?
What we did was we allowed the candidate to pick a choice of the first name or the nickname.
Alphabetical. I remember there was, to balance it off, they said hindi nang gagawin alphabetical. There was something else.
Your Honor, in the party list. Because under the law, Your Honor, Republic Act 9369, we have to arrange the candidates by surname. So we have no discretion there, Your
It's a senatorial. It's the party list pala ang hindi na alphabetical because everybody would have A in their party list.
Honor. Or one. Would they
Or
use
one.
one?
Could you explain the difficulty in the hybrid that you tried in Bacoor, Chairman?
Yes. We
And
looked
what
at...
is the hybrid program?
Okay,
Which is electronically transmitted and which is manual?
Right. It is manual voting and counting, and then automated transmission and canvassing. So we looked at three factors: cost, the timeliness, as well as the technical risk. No. Now, in terms of cost, because it will entail a lot more BEIs, the estimate for a hybrid election was somewhere in between 25 to 36 billion pesos, as compared to for the automated, which we think is only about 12 to 15 billion. And then it was very tedious. That was what was observed by those who participated in the mock elections. We had actual teachers who were there. There were representatives from various political parties. The media was there as well, election lawyers. You could see that, again, it was like a blast from the past in respect of election lawyers questioning each step of the way. And also you could see that the taras, which are the various election forms that are plastered in the blackboard of the schools, and you could see the teacher having to move from one end to the other. So really, given the current state of our elections, the COMELEC and Bank believe that doing manual counting is just too tedious.
I'd like to raise this concern. I hope your COA is here who can answer this question, because I am not certain if this is accurate, because there is, in 2013 yet, I'm not certain whether this has been liquidated. The COA found that the COMELEC had 3.214, so 3.2 billion pesos in unliquidated cash advances, but it's 2015. So is this accurate for officers and employees? What is the status of the 3.2 billion unliquidated cash advances? You have your finance officer.
Director Alarcon?
Could you answer this? I know that Chair Andy had just assumed, so he would not know this. But when you assumed office, did you know that there was a 3.2 billion peso unliquidated cash advance.
I read about that, Madam Chair, and
Yes.
so I asked about it, and I was told that it had been whittled down. Leah, di ba you gave me figures?
Your Honor, please, 2013 is an election year, so there is an unliquidated cash advance of 3.5. In 2014, it increased to 4.8 because of the releases for cash advances in the field offices, like the honoraria of the teacher as well as the provisions for trainings and other services. For 2015, Your Honor, please, for the field offices, it's now down to 1.7 billion. We are still collating the liquidation reports of the field offices. So, Your Honor, please, from 2013 to 2015, for 2015, Your Honor, please, the cash advances released to the field offices went down to 0.74%, which is the remaining percentage of unliquidated cash advances. For 2015, the 43 million released, 99.26% has already been liquidated.
To date,
To date, Your Honor.
how much is your unliquidated?
Unliquidated is 1.7 billion, Your Honor,
That's
please.
still very sizable. To what could you attribute it to?
Your Honor, please, the submissions of liquidation reports we are still collating. There are provisions that were released by the Commission that we requested for write-off from the COA because of the fire that gutted the old COMELEC building. We cannot recover anymore the documents for it. There are still 12 million that are awaiting compliance, and 679,000 are awaiting salary deductions for those who are going on terminal leave.
Is this 1.7 billion unliquidated cash advances cumulative from even before 2010? It was a carryover of previous administration's unliquidated advances.
Yes, ma'am, starting 2003 po.
So you inherited some of this. But your career, you've been there as finance officer?
In October 2013, Your Honor, please.
2013.
So when I came in, there was already the 3.5. Because of the election year for NLE and barangay or national local election in May and the barangay election in October, I assumed in October 8 of 2013, there's already the releases of cash advances. It increased to 4.8 billion because of the release to the field offices for the provisions for the BEI training as well as their honoraria.
Could you kindly give the committee, a breakdown of the 1.7 billion unliquidated cash advance per region? And what is it? Is it generally advances to BEI training? Kanino are these commissioners who have retired? Are these officers, directors who are still there or who have retired? Or are these, as you say, training in the provinces? Kindly give us a picture, because this will be asked of me, I'm sure, in the plenary. So, as your chair, I need to defend this. And how do you intend to collect the 1.7B? Do you recognize Senator Coco Pimentel, Chairman of the Justice Committee? Electoral reform as well, yes. So I just asked them for a copy of the 1.7 billion unliquidated cash advances, which runs back to 2003. So may I know, Chair Andy, inheriting this problem, what are the measures you're taking to make sure that these excessive unliquidated advances do not become a practice?
Well, Madam Chair, you know that the Commission is also fortunate to have with us Commissioner Guanzon, which, as you know, also worked with the COA. So we are working hand in hand to make sure that these unliquidated advances are, first of all, accounted for, and we should collect back as much as we can. Also, write off those that should already be written off. I was also told that there were a lot of advances made to the armed forces and to the PNP, because during elections, as you know, there is money that is given to them, and that we're also trying to get back their liquidation reports in that regard. But your request is well taken. We will submit a detailed report on what that 1.7 billion unliquidated advances is all about.
Are there lump sum items for filling of positions? I understand in 2014 and 2015, the COMELEC has lump sum funds for the filling of positions. It is actually in the 2016 NEP. What positions are these for? Can you show us a slide on the lump sum for the filling of positions, and what are these positions, please? Lump sum, magkano yung lump sum niya
Your
sa
Honor,
NEP
please, it's
216?
the provision is 91,547,000. The proposal was 259,004,000 pesos. By 65%.
What are these positions
There's a,
for?
Ma'am, there are vacant positions in the field offices like EOs, election officers and election assistants, as well as for the main offices. Main office, I mean, sorry.
Previously, you were authorized to hire 5,398 authorized positions, I think in 2014, 2015, but you only filled 89% of the total authorized, so may savings kayo doon. What did you do with the savings if you did not fill up these positions?
Your
Chair-
Honor,
Yeah.
Your Honor, please, there were hires for casuals, contract of services, and contractuals.
Are we saying that we use 100% the funds that were given to you for the 5,398? Because per this report I'm reading, you had savings, so I want to know, were the savings generated from the lack of positions that were filled, and where did you use your savings?
Your Honor, please, like in some of our departments, there are no provisions for regular position, like in our information technology department. There is a need for 43 IT positions. And the field offices, there were hires for CVL technicians or computerized voters list technicians. So those were the hires that where we used the provisions.
Yes, but my question is, in 2014, you are not able to use all of your funds for authorized positions. And so, why are you still asking for lump sum fund for NEP 2016 if you're not able to fill it up?
Please, per information of our Personal Services Director, we are still on doing the filling up of unfilled positions and creation of positions that are needed by that we're able to defend for provision.
Anong ginawa niyo sa 2014 na savings? We want to make sure that every agency is consistent in the way it treats savings based on the Supreme Court decision.
Your Honor, please, per provision, the provision of the COMELEC is valid until fully spent. It's still provided in our allotment, though it is not released to us.
The 2014 unspent or savings, because you did not fill up the authorized positions, are still with you or with DBM still, and you
It's-
can...
A provision, Your Honor, please, for allotment. So it's an allotment. It's not.
Still with DBM. Is this included in your budget? That apart from your NEP budget, ito pa ang savings nyo? Nandun, naka-reflect ba yun?
Sa statement of allotments,
They are.
status of allotment
They
of
don't have to request it, no? From DBM?
That should be automatically released. Yung appropriation nila.
So my question is, yung savings nyo ng 2014 ay nasa inyo ba at kasama sa inyong NEP 2016? Or itong NEP total budget nyo magkano ay hindi pa kasama yung iyong savings 2014 sa authorized but unfilled positions at magkano yon? So ibig sabihin, ang inyong pera ay higit pa sa inyong budget ngayon. At sa inyo gagamitin yon. At pangalawa, dahil hindi kayo nakagastos ng buo na budget nyo noong 2014, I assume in 2015, hindi rin yung mauubos. So again, may savings na naman kayo. So actually, your budget is bigger than what is projected on the screen, unless it is included in your presentation. And because Attorney De Blon is correct, your fiscal autonomy, you can actually use it. You don't have to request it from DBM. So that's my question. In your presentation today, does it include the savings of 2014, and what is your projected savings from unfilled positions of 2015?
Sir, please. You're correct. It is released to us. It is valid until fully spent. For the personal services provision, that's why there is a deduction of negative 65%. Based on our submission of the PSIPOP, they deducted it because they saw the balance of our unfilled. Yes, Your Honor, please.
Pinapaliwanag nyo dapat yun kasi parang naman ang sama ng DBM at ang Kongreso na COMELEC election year, binabawasan ng mga tao kaya walang warm bodies, 65%. Papaliwanag po ninyo na hindi naman ganon. Dahil noong 2014, meron kaming savings dahil hindi nagamit ang 11% ng authorized na positions. In 2015, I am certain you will not be able to use it as well. So my question is, the 2014 savings due to authorized but unfilled positions and the projected 2015, how much would that come out to?
Your Honor, please, it's 2,275,549,000. 2 million, sorry. It's 2,279,000. Sorry, Your Honor, please.
2 million lang?
14, the balance is 2,279,549 pesos and 62 centavos.
2 million lang ang savings nyo from unfilled positions in 2014?
Yes, Your Honor, please, per information of our Personal Services Director, because the unfilled positions are all positions in the lower rank.
Do you have a projected savings? Hindi pa nyo alam.
Ma'am, for every pay period, we are provided only 104,000. So we get the lacking provision in our savings, like provision for the overtime services.
Thank you for that. In Table 2, the 2016 COMELEC proposed budget has no allocation, is this correct, for Region 4B? That is in the NEP, page 686. Pwede bang walang allocation for a region on the general budget? Tama ba ito? For Region 4B?
Your Honor, please.
Kasi ang Region 4A and 4B is just taken as one. Kasi wala opisina sila sa 4A.
They already, Your Honor, please, incorporated the budget for the whole Region 4 in 4A.
They put the budget of Region 4B in 4A.
Honor, please. Like last
Yes.
year, that was the question to us of Congressman Hagedorn.
Oo.
And we
Bakit hindi
explained,
nyo binibreak? Kasi wala kayo opisina sa 4B.
There is, Your Honor, please, but the for
These are island provinces eh. Mimaropa, oo.
Your Honor, please,
Shouldn't you break down your budget so that it's clear?
we already requested for a revision of the system of programs for the DBM. It's just a matter of updating the system. Because when we defended the budget, it is lumped to 4A. We asked that it be revised so that we can upload the actual data to the system.
And if I may add, Madam Chair, we only have one regional director for Region 4 A and B. So there's only one person that is there.
Difficult because Region 4A is very highly populated, heavily populated, and
It has
and
the
we
highest
are
number.
island
Yeah,
provinces.
Maybe we should.
Yes. Should you not have at least an assistant regional director for 4B or an RD?
No, we do have an assistant regional election director for Region 4, but I think you're right. I think we're looking to appointing a separate regional election director
Do
for
you need
4B.
to create a plantilla position? Do you have the power to do that?
We will
Do you
have
have to request DBM, and you can do that before the October deadline for the budget? Is it provided for? Pwede ba yun, Attorney Yoli? Pwede yun. Special provision.
Meron ho, ma'am. Carry blue yan.
Meron naman eh. It's organizational structure. Yes. Or in the special provision that you can actually formulate and implement COMELEC's organizational structure. They can create new positions, transfer an item. I would suggest for expediency, efficiency, accountability, for Region 4 is so big and 4B is difficult, Mimaropa. Dapat hiwalay. Hindi ko alam kung magagalit sa akin ng Region 4 Regional Director for doing this. Ang turf niya ay liliit. But I leave it to you, Chairman Andy. Just in my view, 4A is so big already. Yes. Tama ba yun, Attorney Coco? Yes. Di ba? Senator Coco. Only if you agree. That's my suggestion.
No, I think it's a
Yeah.
good suggestion. And as you pointed out, Region 4A is actually the biggest,
Yes.
in terms of number of voters. So.
And you have the power because in the special provision it is provided. You can create that for regional director and positions. Then you can use your unspent funds to fill in positions. Because we want the elections to be as efficient
That's
as
correct.
possible.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Coco.
Yeah, the confusion is because they put the letter A. Why did you put the A when you didn't even divide it? So, yun. And then, but I also noticed that there's no entry under MOE for the region. So, what's the reason for that? Section 2, expenditure by program by central/regional allocation. All regions of PS, Region 4A Calabarzon does not have MOE entry. Is that, what is this? Is this really planned?
Your Honor, please, when we defended the budget, we explained that in the system, there's only the Region 4A. That's why we requested that it be updated so we can properly upload in the system the breakdown. However, if you will notice, Your Honor, please, in Region 4A, in the breakdown of the COMELEC, all provinces, cities, municipalities, for the whole Region 4 is provided for.
Kasi printing nga daw kasi because, no, are you looking at the same, ano? Are we looking at the same page? Tingnan nyo. Section 2, tingnan nyo. It's strange na, ano siya. May error sa printing or may error somewhere. That's why I'm asking for an explanation.
Commissioner Gia, sige yung sabi niyo.
Your Honor, hindi lang nagmamatch yung the template of the DBM and the submission of COMELEC do not match. So that accounts for the error because we don't usually look at a separate Region 4A and 4B. So I think our own people, Your Honor, are trying to clarify this with the DBM.
Does it affect Ma'am, the figures, the bottom line?
We have to recheck.
If
the
there's
totals.
something wrong with this is DBM document, no?
Our submission, Your Honor, is for the whole Region 4, both 4A
Oo
and
nga,
4B.
it's a DBM document, ma'am. May problema. Ito, may butas eh. Tataka ko eh. So, lahat may MOE, except ito wala. So, does it now affect the bottom line?
Your Honor, please,
What's the answer? Did it affect the bottom line? Ma'am?
Your Honor, please, like in the uploading of the personal services itemization plantilla of position, we identify all the cities, municipalities, and provinces as for the whole Region 4. So it's just a matter of labeling. That's why we were asking for a change in the system so we can upload properly the PSI POP of the COMELEC. Honor, please, if you will notice, in the submission of the Commission, the whole Region 4 is provided for in the uploading of the PSI POP.
But
Your
something
Honor.
is wrong with this NEP Volume 3, Fiscal Year 2016. This is coming from DBM? Oh, because if it's a system problem, how come sa Region 4A Calabarzon there is an entry for PS? May entry 191,370,000. So na-capture ng system nila. MOE blank. And that's 18 million, no? So does it mean to say that the total agency budget for the column MOOE is short by 18 million? Naapektuhan po ba yung total dito sa baba? May mali din ba? Chairman, mukhang na-snowpeak na dagdag bawas yata ang budget nyo.
Sige, titignan nga natin. Yung 18 million, oo.
Total is the same. How can Region 4A not have MOE? If you make these mistakes in the budget and kung hindi mapansin, hanggang maprint yan, we will have a problem in a heavily populated area with no operating expenses. What happened there?
Your Honor, please, if you will see the specific breakdown in... There's no page, Your Honor, please. For Region 4, there's an MOOE of 18,603,000 pesos. So the total and the PS and the MOOE was captured as well as in the total of 209,973,000.
So is there a budget for
Yes,
Region
Your Honor,
4A?
please. Yes, Your Honor, please.
What is this blank page that we're looking at? This blank slot? Sa amin, kopya lang ang wala. Oh, Attorney Yoli, can you check yung sa kopya ni Senator Coco? Pare-parehong wala. Bakit sa kanila meron? Ano ba yun?
Yung sa details, meron. Sa summary, wala.
So it's a clerical error. Which is more important? Yung...
The detail, ang ano namin, sa ano natin, i-correct natin.
Oo.
We have to reflect the correct amount
Okay,
sa summary.
yes. So there is a budget. Just please be careful with regards to those things because if you put it blank, there will be no MOE and it doesn't make sense. It cannot
Your
be
Honor,
that way.
please, this document was prepared not by the Commission.
So there's a budget. So question about Region 4B, and that will be addressed by the chair if you agree with our suggestion. And if you create a position, there should be a budget allocated both for PS and for MOE for Region 4B.
In fact, Madam Chair, tomorrow we have a meeting with all the regional election directors, so it might be a good topic that we should also tackle.
Not sure if the Region 4 director would be happy with my suggestion. I don't know the person, but it's really up to you. Yes. Senator
Before
Coco.
I leave, so it was explained this way. So the 18 million for Region 4A was lumped under NCR. So it's included in NCR's MOOE of 25 million. So kung i-minus natin yun, 6 million plus. But should I believe that the MOOE for NCR is lesser than the MOOE for Region 4A and even lesser than the MOOE for Region 12, Soc-Sargen? Malabo. Because Soc-Sargen has 10 million plus MOOE. So kung tama ang theory that the 18 million for Region 4A was lumped mistakenly with the NCR's 25 million, i-minus mo yung 6 million ang naiwan. So MOOE for NCR is even lesser than MOOE for Soc-Sargen, Region 12. Ganun ba yun? Di
Yes,
ba
sir.
activities ito, MOOE?
Yes, Your Honor, please. They have the same items of expenditure, but if you'll notice, Your Honor, please, the commission is highly centralized. Considering that the NCR is only is within the vicinity of the main offices, most of their MOOE is released centrally from the main office, while that of the field offices, they're away from the main offices. So for their travel, communication service.
That was also the explanation given to me, but that's why I'm raising this up. Is that the right way to do it? So you do not properly reflect the MOE for the NCR, if that is the case. So, ibig sabihin, inaabsorb ni Maine. Eh, ba't ganun? I don't know, Chairman. So,
But we will take that into account,
No.
Senator Pimentel.
No, also because you're comparing NCR and Region 4A and 4B, but the number of voters of Region 4A and 4B is higher than the NCR. So perhaps the MOE is calculated based on the number of the voting population?
But yung maganda yung
Chair.
point ni Senator Pimentel, yung sa Soc-Sargen.
if that is that's why I am highlighting Soc-Sargen, Region 12. Imposibleng higher siya than Metro Manila. Imposible. And I even doubt if is Region 4A and B bigger than Metro Manila?
Oh, yes. Yes,
As a region? Okay.
4A and B is
But
bigger
that's why I
than
use
Metro Manila.
Soc-Sargen, Region 12.
We need a justification why the MOE of 12 is higher than NCR.
Sige.
Ma'am, Your Honor, please, just for as an example, like in the submission of the certificate of candidacies, the Region 12 will be given cash advances for their travel, like plane tickets of 12,000 pesos, while for NCR, there is no traveling expenses. There is no cash advance for hauling of their supplies and materials. There's no cash advance for their mobile communication. So, unlike that of the field offices that are away from the main office. If they submit it come October, the submission of the COC, the provincial election supervisors will be given cash advances for the purchase of the CD, DVD, rewritable, for the compiling of the certificate of candidacies, their record books. They have to send that to the election officers and back to their offices. Then the PES has to travel going to Manila to haul all of the COCs, the record books, and the CDs for compiling in the main offices for the preparation of the list of candidates. Just an example, Your Honor, please.
Thank you for that. Is this accurate? There is no capital outlay expenditure in the proposed 2016 budget?
Yes. No capital outlay was provided for us in 2016. When we defended the budget to the DBM, they reminded us that the provision of 195 million for capital outlay is in 2015 is valid for 2 years, so until 2016. Since we have a slow absorptive capacity, meaning we have several failure of biddings like the procurement of motor vehicles and other IT equipment, They deemed not to release capital outlay to us, considering we still have 178 million in our balance for 2015, which is valid until December 2016, Your Honor, please.
It's clear because you still have unspent for this year, which is valid for next year. That's clear. What are to be undertaken for governance and accountability improvement? The budget for that is 12.9 billion. What is that? 12.9 billion pesos for governance and accountability improvement.
We have activities that's under the operations. We have activities like the conduct of the recall petitions, the recall elections, like the quasi-judicial functions of the commission, submission of cases covered by the election contest administrative division, adjudication division, and the law department, Your Honor, please.
12.9 billion yun, ha? Is there a breakdown of that portion? So this governance and accountability improvement would include the SK elections, barangay elections, all your, is that it?
Your Honor, please, including the NLE as well as the offer. Yes, Your Honor, please. And they lumped it to that categorization, broken down into the PS and MOOE, Your Honor, please.
May we know if all the contracts for the 2016 elections have already been contracted out? Have they? Everything have
So
been
far,
bid
Your
out?
Honor,
Yes.
it's for the 23,000 and the 70,977 machines. The lease that's been signed, we have to bid out the contracts for the laptops, the contracts for the National Support Center, transmission, warehousing, also including the peripherals, Your Honor, like the folders, the ball pens, the deployment, the ballot packaging. We have to bid them out.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you kindly give the Finance Committee a list of such contracts and the terms of reference for those contracts and the participants of the bidding?
Yes, Your Honor.
But it's still ongoing. It's not yet done.
You mean the signed contracts already, or the contracts yet to be
Both.
awarded? Both.
Both.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
In the past 2 years, 2013, 2015, the poor budget utilization has been brought up. What could be the reason for this? Again, underspending, poor budget utilization, but considering 2013 was an election year. And it continues in the first half of 2015. Why is that?
Your Honor, please, when we submitted a report on absorptive capacity to the DBM, we attributed all our the slow obligation of our allotment to the several failure of biddings in our procurement on capital outlay. However, if you will notice, Your Honor, please, for regular MOOE and personal services, as well as for the PS and MOOE of the locally funded projects, there are already several obligations up to 46% of their provision. In the capital outlay, Your Honor, please.
This accurate from 2011 to 2014, the COMELEC underspent 37.5. Ang laki. More than one-third of its budget. But as of June of 2015 this year, only 7% of its available allotments have been utilized. So
Yes.
there's really a history of underspending of underutilized funds in the past years, and only 7% of the more than one-third of your budget that was underspent was actually utilized. Is this accurate?
Yes, Your Honor, please. However, if you will notice, we are given provisions for several activities that may or may not happen, like recall elections, plebiscites, and the like. And also, like in for the current year, we are given a provision for the SK and barangay elections. However, due to the suspension of the said activity up to 2016, the said provision or allotment for those activities, most of it remains unspent.
So you have so much money, more than what you're actually presenting to us here, because you've underspent in the COMELEC has underspent from 2011, 37.5%. And assuming you've spent 7%, still 30% of unspent is still with you now, right? Because your fiscal autonomy, you don't return it to DBM, no? Really, hindi sinusoli. Nasa kanila pa yun. Is that reflected in your proposal, in your PowerPoint?
Honor, please. However, we submitted our statement of allotment, obligation, and balances. It's all reflected there, Your Honor, please.
How much would that be?
Until fully spent.
You can keep it until spent, right?
Your Honor, please. As
Even to the next
CFAG.
administration, next 5-10 years.
Yes, Your Honor, please.
Just like the judiciary, when I was asking them, they had unspent budgets from 1996. It's still with them because you have fiscal autonomy, just like the judiciary. And then they were going to put it in halls of justice and realign it. But that is against the DAP ruling. So I'm also asking you, in your underspent 30% from 2011, how much is that total? And to what extent can the chair or the COMELEC use that? Because that's considered savings.
Your Honor, please, like in 2010, we have an unspent balance of 291 million. However, we have already identified the provision for it under the locally funded projects of capital outlay, construction of building and warehouse. For 2013, there is an agency balance of 371,964,000 pesos, also for capital outlay. So, Your Honor, please, per the plan submitted by our Administrative and Services Department, there will be three buildings that will be built in the lot procured at the PRA for dormitory, warehouse, and main office, the proposed budget for which is 3.4 billion, Your Honor, please.
Question is, you have so much savings. May I know, you're all lawyers, may I know from the chair, an esteemed former dean and chair of the COMELEC, how do you define savings? And how would you use all these savings of the COMELEC in recent years, which runs to the hundreds of millions, may billions ba? Hundreds of millions. You have fiscal autonomy, just like the judiciary, they had savings from 1996. You have savings. Can the savings of unfilled positions of previous years, which is not returned to the Treasury, be used for a building, for capital outlay? Can it be used?
As long as we have a
Yes.
item, Your Honor, for capital outlay.
As long as there's an item for that current year for capital outlay, even if the savings of 2011 came from unfilled positions, authorized positions. In short, it came from personal services, but saved because unfilled, and it can be realigned and used for capital outlay for a current year, as long as there's a line item for that.
If going by the definition of the Supreme Court on fiscal autonomy, you can realign that.
So the DAP ruling does not apply to those with fiscal autonomy?
Your Honor, what they're saying, Your Honor, is that if it's a pure savings, not a meaning yung project as totally abandoned, there's really nothing more, then we can realign that. But if it's merely suspended, then basically it's not considered a savings, Your Honor.
Okay. Question to the DPWH, Secretary Singson. He says that if 100 million pesos was allocated for a road, and they bid it out to a bidder who only bid out for 85, and they have 15 million savings, they cannot even use it for the continuation of the road, and they would have to ask BBM and the President to use that savings because of a lower bid. But you're saying, insofar as the COMELEC is concerned, savings from unfilled positions in past years for personal services can be used for capital outlay for current years as long as there is a line item for capital outlay?
Yes, compared to a cabinet secretary, Your Honor, the chairman of the commission is authorized under Article 6 of the Constitution to realign savings, Your Honor.
Yes.
Just like the President, the Speaker
Just-
of the House, the Senate President.
Correct. So you're saying whether the Senate President or the Speaker of the House and the Chairman and the President, etc. So you're saying that in your view, this is not violative of the Supreme Court decision on realignment and on savings, and you can actually use unfilled positions for personal services or otherwise, and just use it for anything as long as in that current year there's a line item for that, to augment line item
Augmentation,
provisions.
yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. Augmentation.
In fact, that is provided for in the Constitution, yung augmentation. Yeah, that's the word that is used.
Well, it actually says here in the NEP special provision, use of savings, the chairman of the COMELEC is authorized to use savings to augment actual deficiencies in accordance with, you're correct, Section 25, Article 4 of the Constitution and the general provisions. However, could you kindly give the committee a list of cases where the savings of previous years were used to augment deficiencies in budget items in the COMELEC budget, let's say in the first half of 2015, where you actually applied that.
We will submit
Yes.
that, Your Honor.
Yes. It is therefore, I see now why the DBM had cut a lot of your proposed budget, because you have unused savings, unused funds from previous years, and you could use it anywhere as long as there's a line item for that. So what the committee needs is, we just want to see where these savings went. Did it go to the same line item for which it was provided for in the previous years, or was it used for something else, for capital outlay? So it probably explains why you may not have capital outlay this year, but as you said, you still have unspent of 170 something, and you have that of previous years for unfilled positions, but you can also use it for capital outlay for 2016. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Did I already ask for the savings generated as a result of the less than full personnel fill-up in 2014 and 2015? Have you answered that, Finance Director?
Your
Have you
Honor,
given me the figure for the savings from the personnel of 2014? Was this the 2 million, or that's
yes,
different?
Your Honor, please. It's the 2,279,000.
Is there an unobligated allotment of 507 million in 2014 funds? These were projects, activities that were unobligated in 2014. Is that accurate? Was it obligated for this year?
Your Honor, please, since 2014, MOOE and capital outlay that is remaining, it's valid until the end of 2015.
It's the 507 million 997,000, half a billion.
MOOE, Your Honor, please. Yes, Your Honor, please.
And use it till the end of 2000.
December 31, 2015, Your Honor, please.
If you're not able to use it, are you able to save it with a lump sum as well, just like the savings from 2011?
Sir, yes, sorry, Your Honor, please. Yes, ma'am, Your Honor, please.
Yes.
Considering our identity as a fiscal autonomy.
So for all intents and purposes, it would go beyond December 2015. So it is inaccurate to say that it expires in December of 2015. It can be lumped together with the savings from 2011 to 2014. So this was carried over from 2014 because it was unobligated, 507 million.
Yes, Your Honor, please. However, if you will notice, if it's unobligated, it remains as an allotment. We have to request it so that it may be released to us by the DBM. It is within our balances. However, since it's unobligated, we have to request for its release.
Other funds we were discussing from 2011 to 2014, you already have because these were already downloaded to you. But the 507 million are unobligated but due you, and you can actually request for it, and it belongs to you. So that will be additional to your already big savings of unused funds of 37%, correct? Ang dami yung hindi nagagamit and you have so much money. You bought Picos machines in 2012, Chair?
That is correct,
Yes.
2012.
How many? 80,000?
Close to 82,000.
82, yes. Well, used?
Again, the decision of the Comelec and Bank, given the time constraints, is that we will be leasing new machines for 2016, but using these old Picos machines for 2019 after they go through refurbishment and upgrade.
I don't understand. How much did it cost us to the Comelec to buy the 2012 80,000 machines?
I think the option to purchase when it was exercised in 2012 entailed a 1.8 billion. But
And,
this is aside from the lease payments made.
Yes.
In
and the
2000.
1.8 billion will not be used in 2016. We will lease new ones.
We will lease new ones.
And because they are not updated, what is it? They need refurbishment?
That's correct. They need to be refurbished and upgraded. And again, because of time constraints, it takes more time to refurbish and upgrade than
So
it
we're
is
saying
to
it was used
manufacture.
once. No, but this was a lease.
It was used twice. It
Was
was
it
used in 2010 and
Ah,
2013.
2010 already. I
Yeah.
see. I don't understand. I thought it was purchased in 2012. It was leased in 2010.
Nine, yes. It was leased in
It was-
2009, and then Comelec had an option to purchase,
In 2012,
which it exercised
which used in
2000.
2013, but unused, cannot be used because it needs refurbishment for 2016. But it can be used in 2019?
That is correct. Because it's, well, these machines are stored right now in a warehouse in Cabuyao, Laguna. There were attempts by Comelec to refurbish these machines. I don't know, Madam Chair, if you're aware that there was a Supreme Court decision that basically said that it had to be bidded out. And we did, tried to bid it out, but that the biddings failed twice. And therefore, this month, this August, we basically, last month we decided that the most prudent course of action to take at this point is to just lease new machines. Because again of the time constraints, but we will be bidding out the refurbishment and upgrade of these machines for use in the 2019 elections.
How much would the refurbishment cost, Chairman?
The last ABC was 3.1 billion.
And the leasing of the new equipment?
The difference is about 2.5 billion.
So it was foolish to buy it.
Well, again, I can't speak for the previous commission, but I think what could have been done was that it should have been refurbished and upgraded immediately after it was purchased.
Who was the supplier of the 2012 purchase?
Smartmatic. Yeah.
They're very controversial, but they're still with us.
Again, when we came in, we supervised we were already there when the biddings were conducted, and that they won the biddings. They submitted the lowest bid price, and they also qualified in terms of the specifications needed.
I'd like to ask about the budget of the SK and barangay election and registration, which is 7.592 billion for the 2016 SK and barangay elections and registration. This is 154% higher than the 2.992 billion actual obligations incurred in 2013. Is this accurate?
Your Honor, please, for the SK and barangay election, the provision is 3,611,000,000. The basis for the increase is that the projected number of precincts is 386,047 precincts, with roughly a projected number of registered voters of 65 million, more than 65 million, Your Honor, please. So, like in the personal services, if you have 386,000 precincts, you multiply that by 3. That's why we need 2,508,812,000 pesos for the provision for the per dimes of the Board of Election Tellers. The
I'm sorry, where is the 2 billion? The 2 billion is for what year?
2016, Your Honor.
Sandali.
Please.
Bakit nakalagay sa akin
PS.
7.5 billion? It says here 7.592 billion for the 2016 SK and barangay elections. Is it 2.9 only?
It's 3.6, Your Honor, please.
So, it's 7.5 for 2015 and 2016 registration and election. And election ang sabi ko for SK and barangay. 7.5. 7.5. Registration of 2015 and election of 2016, right? My point only is, it's 154% higher than the 2.9 billion actual obligations in 2013. And the appropriations for the national and local elections, including registration, increased only by 35%. So my question is, why did the SK and barangay elections increase by 154% compared to the increase of the national and local by 35? What's the reason for that? That's my question.
Your Honor, please, like I stated earlier, we have provisions for 2015 for 956 million for the SK and barangay election for this year. However, due to the suspension, we cannot obligate it anymore. So for 2016, when we were defending the budget, starting the early months of 2015, we just included it in the budget so that come the 2016, if it is moved, there is a provision for the elections, SK and barangay registration also.
The overseas absentee voting, may I know, Chair, how many sites do we have for overseas voters? We still have all the embassies and consulates. Do we have, do we do biometric registration also for all of them? We always have a traditionally low turnout for overseas
That's correct,
voters.
only about 10%. But may I recognize the commissioner in charge for our overseas voting is Commissioner Arthur Lim.
Good morning again, ma'am. To answer your question, Madam Chairman, we have 60 embassies, 30 consulates, 3 MICO offices, 1 Philippine Labor Office in Polo Alcobar, 1 Philippine Mission in Geneva, And also, we will have field, or we have field registration centers in the Philippines located at POEA, OWA, DFA, NAIA, Marina, where registration has been ongoing, and this will last up to October 31st. Although the problem, Madam Chairman, is registration does not actually translate into actual votes. And we have identified basic causes for the seeming downward spiral in the number of voter turnout as basically due to the high mobility of our overseas Filipinos and also voter apathy because they are abroad to make an honest and living for themselves and for their families back home, not so much really to vote. But having said that, we are also embarking on a very concerted and massive information campaign. And one area that we are exploring right now is once the COCs have been filed and we are able to have a listing of the official candidates for presidents, we will put the idea across that the OFWs are a force to reckon with and they can be a game changer.
Yes. Commissioner, potentially how many OFWs are qualified to vote?
1,200,000, ma'am.
1,200,000
And still
overseas Filipinos
overseas
are qualified to vote.
Yes.
And how many have registered, sir?
1,200,000.
Ayun ang nag-register, but how many, potentially, how many can register?
Around 8 million, ma'am.
8 million.
Yes.
And there are 1.2 million who have registered already.
As we speak.
And of the 1.2 million, what is the projected turnout based on 2013 elections?
Based on 2013, it was a poor 16%.
1.6.
1.6, ma'am.
How do you aim to increase the registration from 1.2 to 8 million, and then the 8 million for a 77% turnout like what we have here, apart from them voting in embassies and consulates?
Well,
You have more registrations here. We allow electronic voting, right? Electronic voting for OFWs?
we have electronic voting and we will be providing machines. But
I mean, I'm sorry.
online or internet,
online voting
that
is
cannot
allowed.
be done. The law does not allow that, ma'am.
I thought it was piloted in certain areas.
Non-binding.
Online registration,
Yes.
but not voting was never online.
Yes. Although there are bills that seek to accomplish that objective. But having pointed out those problem areas, it must be emphasized that 2013 was a midterm election where conceivably voter interest was lower compared to 2004, which was presidential, and 2010, which was also a presidential election.
What was the turnout, sir, in 2010?
In 2010, ma'am, in 2004, about 300,000 voters registered. In 2010, around 160,000.
Say that again. In 2010, we only had 300,000 registrants?
No.
Registered voters?
Actual voter turnout.
In 2010. Because your registered voters now is 1.2 million.
At present.
But in 2010, which is a presidential year,
In 2010, ma'am, the voter turnout was 153,323, which was 26% of the total number of registered voters. And in 2013, there was a voter turnout of only 118,823, which was a poor 16%. But that could be partly explained by the fact that 2010 was a presidential election and generated a higher voter interest.
It's like I asked Chairman earlier, how do you expect more people to reach out to the 3 million who still not have registered biometrically? How will you reach out to the overseas Filipinos, sir, so that they register, and after having registered, that they would actually cast their vote?
Well, we have even gone to the extent of doing the Akyat Barko program, which is not really a takeoff from the local, it's not piracy, ma'am, but we will be bringing in.
Gandahan ho nyo yung pangalan nyo. Baka naman parang akyat bahay, akyat barko, di ba? Matatakot naman ang ating mga OFW sa
This was
programa ng
conceived by
Comelec.
Comal Pareño.
I think you should get a communication specialist,
Yes,
not
sir.
a commissioner, to name it. I'm just joking.
Because there are ports of call of in overseas shipping where the program can be implemented instead of the potential voters being enticed to go to the various posts. Field mobile voting will be availed of by bringing the machines to their places
You know,
of
our
work.
overseas Filipinos are very intelligent voters. We need more of them to vote. If there's 8 million of them, I wish we could register at least 80% and we could have such a turnout. They're very intelligent voters. These are professionals everywhere. So I wish we could go beyond the embassy and consulate posts to be able to allow them to vote. How else can we
During
be
the
more
30
creative in
day,
doing that?
sorry ma'am, during the 30-day voting period, because the voting period will be from April 6 to May 9, we will be conducting 2 mobile voting and 2 field voting. So
Areas where there's a concentration of Filipinos.
that is correct. And we also plan to request or invite the presidential candidates who shall have officially filed their candidacies by October to send to COMELEC under the prescribed COMELEC format to avoid any discrimination in tenor or in length of their platform. And we will upload this in the COMELEC website as well as in the Filipino channel and post it on in the various embassies, asking them for their platform or program of government for the OFWs. Once the presidentiables will realize that the overseas vote can be a game changer, they will partly be responsible for generating voter interest, hand in hand with the Commission.
That's my favorite, the overseas vote, because I'm always number 1 there. No, ayoko na magmukhang mayabang naman. It's just my... how do we allow voting by mailing for overseas votes? We allow that.
The voting can
Kasi
either
30 days yan, no?
Yes, ma'am. The voting can be automated, personal voting, or it can be postal voting. We will be mailing the official ballots from the main office to the addresses based on the database of the registered voters, and they will be mailing their votes or the ballots to the various embassies where they are located.
So
it's either
mailing-
personal or postal voting.
So postal voting is allowed everywhere, not just in specific or piloted areas.
It's allowed everywhere, yes, ma'am.
When it started, because I remember it was in 2002 when we were hearing this bill, and I was one of the authors. We had consultations, etc. And I thought at the time it was only piloted in certain areas. So now voting by mail is allowed everywhere.
Yes, ma'am, provided they are within the general guidelines or instructions of the Commission, because I understand that the overseas voting law has undergone a series of transmutations, whereas before, for instance, the voter has to execute an affidavit that he will be returning to the country. That has been dispensed with completely by a new mandatory law. So I think postal voting, the same, it's on the same level. You can have postal voting anywhere, provided the Commission has determined that this particular area can avail of postal voting. And usually, ma'am, it is my information that we do this in places where there is not much concentration of Filipino voters. Otherwise, we send the SBEIs, the Special Board of Election Inspectors, with the actual voting machines to have either personal voting or they can also avail of postal voting
Yes,
at the
sir.
same time.
Who spends for this? The COMELEC, of course, has a budget for this. The DFA does not spend its own funds for this.
Well, the honoraria of DFA personnel, because they are the ones doing the work actually, comes from the COMELEC budget.
But when do you transmit the funds? Were there instances in the past where the funds came late, so the posts had difficulty in implementing overseas absentee voting, even for, number one, for registration, number two, for information, education, communication, number three, that there's difficulty because no funds, or the funds were late?
Can I request Director Balesa to answer with respect to previous previous activities of the voting abroad, Your Honor?
Insofar as the overseas voting is concerned, as to transfer of funds, Your Honor, we course the transfer of funds through the DFA, and in turn the DFA will transfer the funds to the various posts. There was never an occasion that we have a delay in the disbursement. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner Lim.
Thank you, ma'am.
Chairman, what is this locally funded project called Information System Strategic Plan, with a proposed budget of 450 million, but it was not approved? Just so that I understand this. You proposed it, it was not approved, but this project received a 2014 funding of 200.
Your Honor, the ISSP is a 5-year plan which is submitted to the DOST, and it's approved. It involves the upgrade of the technology requirements of the.
It was approved.
It's a 5-year plan, Your Honor.
Yes.
Its entire budget is broken down in several tranches. For next year, Your Honor, since the low utilization rate of the COMELEC for its ISSP, that's why the DBM did not give us any budget for that. But that submission of 450 million is based on the 5-year plan submitted and approved by the DOST, Your Honor.
So what will happen to the 5-year program if you were not given a budget for that?
We will have just to fund it from our savings, Your Honor.
Marami naman kasi kayong savings na nakatago. Oo, ang dami-dami. Iba pa yung savings nyo from 2011 to 2014 at iba pa yung 500 million dito na pwede nyong hingin, di ba? And if you request for that, you can use it anytime, not just the end of 2015. Yes. Two more issues that I can remember now. Get to know your candidates, presidential, vice presidential, senatorial, even local. How is the Commission utilizing the tri-media, including social media, so that our people would get to know them better on their positions on very important issues? On a simple issue like, how do you solve the problem of traffic in Metro Manila? On an issue as important but maybe not easily understood as what is your projection of what will happen in COP21 in Paris in December? As simple as what is your, if you were president, what will your position be on the West Philippine Sea issue and your diplomacy with PROC? I mean, these are questions which we should ask our candidates. The COMELEC it would be good for the COMELEC to have sessions on television, on radio, where all of these could be discussed. And for local, even for governors, for mayor, for local positions, if the COMELEC could provide and link up with the KBP for local airtime, and mayors can be asked, kayo ba ho ay nagpapatupad ng 9003 RA sa paghihiwalay ng basura ng 2001 pa dahil 25% lang ng LGU ay nagpapatupad? Kayo ba ho ay nagpapatupad ng GAD law, ng Gender and Development, na 5% ng iyong budget ay inaalat sa mga kababaihan? Tayo ba ay nakakaalam ang inyong rehiyon ba o ang inyong probinsya nung tapos na ngayon Setyembre ang MDG at meron bagong SDG? O, tatanungin natin, aligned ba ang inyong probinsya o bayan? At i-rating nyo ang mga Millennium Development Goals. Saan ang inyong probinsya dyan? Ganon. Sa incumbent itatanong, sa prospective itatanong. Dapat ganon ka-intelihente para ang pagboto ng mga tao ay ayon dyan sa accomplishment at yung kayang gawin at position sa mga issues. Don't you agree, Chair Andy? And Combing and everyone else? Whether in the national or local elections, we can have that. And I think only the COMELEC can actually do that with the KBP so that there will be a lively discussion. And let's veer away from killing each other, literally and figuratively, and all this black propaganda emanating sometimes from various forms of media and communications. Do you have a budget for that, for this suggestion?
We agree, Madam Chair. In fact, I think last month we announced that we will be using the provisions of Republic Act 9006, or the Fair Elections Act, which authorizes the COMELEC to sponsor and hold presidential debates. So there is actually a law that authorizes COMELEC to do so. The last time this was used was in 1992. So we would like to use this now in 2016. We are looking to hold 3 presidential debates. The first one to be held in February during the start of the campaign period. We want to hold it in Luzon, one in Luzon, one in Visayas, and one in Mindanao.
I suggest that you also have vice presidential debates.
One vice presidential debate.
And even perhaps senatorial.
That one we will look into.
And how about for the local?
For the local, yes, we are
Yes.
also asking our regional election directors to team up with the various citizens' arms of COMELEC, like the PPCRV and AMFREL, and with the local civic groups
In
to
short,
also hold.
Yeah, what you're doing for the national, let the regional replicate it for the local offices.
That is correct.
And it
we-
would also make it cheaper and easier for the candidates to be known than going house to house pag lokal, hindi ba?
That is correct. And we also want not to veer away from personality politics, but towards more issues and platform-based politics.
You could cascade this to the provincial and to the city, since there are, meron naman even dedicated radio stations in every city and municipality.
That is correct.
We have the RMN network, the Radyo Natin network, the RH network, Bombo Radyo, etc., etc. That can be used, and they can provide the airtime for that, and even
So,
local TV.
That's correct. We already formed
Can we
a
revolutionize
technical-
that? Because I'd like to think that under my watch as chair of your budget, we were able to utilize it and have a massive IEC campaign for the 2016 elections. You have so much savings, so there's no reason that you don't have the resources. One of you, or maybe you can get someone who can advise you on how to do this and the issues to be handled. So what I'm saying is that we've seen presidential debates, alam na natin yan, but here we want to have
Multimedia, and then
Multimedia.
using technology.
Yes, and up to
different
local.
formats.
Mahalaga rin ang local eh. So that we veer away from guns, goons, and gold, and instead, we have these mayors, vice mayors, councilors, talking about issues in their locality. Mm. May oil spill po sa ilog. Anong gagawin natin dito? Tag-init, maski na Desyembre, El Nino. Ano bang nagawa mo, Mayor? Oh. Ano ba ang nagawa dito? Oo. May tumpok-tumpok ng basura, bakit hindi ka nakolekta? Ilang libo ang walang trabaho, ay ba't hindi ginawa ng peso officer na mag-matching sa jobs? I mean, those things, if it can be discussed, hindi lang sa entablado, nalilimang daang tao sa rally, ginagamit ang media sa mga lugar na yon. Then you will revolutionize also the role of the COMELEC for information dissemination.
Yes, Madam Chair, that is our direction.
It's a suggestion,
And it's,
Chair Andy.
Well, as I said, we already announced it, so we have already formed a technical working group that is working with the KBP. In fact, President Hernan Besbaño was with us yesterday, and that is the direction we're taking.
Will the PANA, the Philippine Association of National Advertisers, be useful in that as well?
Well, we're opening it up to all groups, national groups, like also the mga academic groups, mga SEAP or COCOPEA, also in respect of civic organizations.
Let the state universities hold it in their venue.
That's the thing. We're
Yeah.
looking now for the venue, and also we're looking at different formats. You know, that it can be a panel, or it can be a moderator,
And
or
it can
a
be
town
live
hall.
streamed.
Live stream. Oh, yeah, that's
Live
it.
streaming.
And using, as I said,
Oo.
multimedia.
Like at
It's,
any time, I can watch the live streaming of the debate in Tagoloan, Misamis Oriental. Anytime I can, in Bonggao, Tawi-Tawi, of the mayoralty debate. Ang ganon. Di ba ang ganda?
Yeah.
That's a legacy you can leave, Chair Andy. Yeah, just a suggestion again. Hindi
A
ako
very good
nahihimasok,
suggestion po. A very
but,
good suggestion.
I was just thinking that would be good. And that's how you can use your, ang dami-dami yung pondo. You can use that. Okay. Commissioner Bing, you're very well known, and one of your major advocacies is gender, women empowerment, and you recently had a training workshop on gender and development, etc. Can you tell us more about that workshop and how the COMELEC offices can be more gender sensitive, and how the 2016 elections can benefit from your wisdom and experience of being an expert in this field?
Senator, we in the Commission now are fully committed to gender equality, not only in the Commission, but also in elections. And we saw the statistics that less than 20% of women are elected into office because there's less of them that get into the ballot list. And so we have several programs, and we're very grateful that you are teaching us how to link Voters Edu with our program for gender equality in elections. So I will add on to this the projects when we return to our offices. One is we have to encourage increase of women's participation in elections. We are now conducting a nationwide training seminar for women candidates, how to fill up their certificate of candidacy and their statement of expenses. This will encourage women that they can. It is easy to perform this important tasks, such as the certificate of candidacy. At the same time, I'm going to the provinces, and we are holding gender equality fora with women mayors and women governors, vice governors, to emphasize that women should be encouraged to run. The local political parties can encourage their women candidates to run for office, and that their political parties hopefully will fund the financing requirements so that more women can join elections. There is a study, Commissioner Gia just came from Mexico, that says that in the overall worldwide campaign finance figures, much less in terms of money for campaign finance really go to women candidates. That's why they're all over the world. There are really less, there's no equality in terms of women and men participation in elections because there's no access for women to campaign funds. So those are the issues that we are trying to solve now. We want to have a 5-year plan.
I don't understand what you're saying.
For this.
That there is less support for women candidates in terms of campaign finance. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. One of the major obstacles for women is really that elections are expensive in our country. That is why they have more chances of winning in the barangay elections. That's why our efforts in voters' education, the getting to know your candidates, the Gender Equality Forum, nationwide, will hopefully in the next 3 years produce a good harvest in terms of higher number of women who are elected into office, or at least a higher number of women who are candidates in the elections, and we have better chances of doing that in the barangay elections. Ma'am, I am also planning, I have not yet informed the NBank, but the Gender and Development Committee is also going to do some more steps, including calling the political parties to a meeting and for them to present their programs of government for women, or for their membership in their bylaws, their membership provisions on women and women candidates. Although there is no quota, Senator Pimentel, Senator Legarda, there's no quota for women candidates in political parties, and I suppose we have to do that by law. There are other ways, perhaps, to generate that. And we would like to ask the help also of the Senate in the committee of Senator Legarda, if we can participate in hearings, and then the COMELEC can work together even without yet a law. We would like to find ways for political parties to be encouraged, although not required, to add more women candidates in their list.
So can you kindly give me one activity where you're operationalizing this concept? In short, ano ang ginagawa nyo para paramihin ang kandidato sa nasyonal at sa lokal na pamamahala sa susunod na halalan? What one single activity is a COMELEC doing to encourage women, apart from teaching them how to fill up forms, increasing campaign finance? These are all good advocacies, but how are we doing operationalizing this?
There are independent women candidates, and there are candidates by political parties. We will have better chances by convincing political parties to field more women as a system, to do it systematically. Yes, so that is why one of our steps is to call the political parties to present to us, and we'll ask them questions and about how many women candidates. Why are you not filling more? Why are you not fielding more women candidates? Why is it that women have no access in your party? There are parties, for example, that have 1 or 2 women candidates only. So although it's not a law, we are in fact trying to tell them that the Commission on Elections has a baseline this year to monitor the performance of political parties in terms of gender equality in elections. The other thing, ma'am, is perhaps we can be of assistance to a senator or representatives in developing a law towards the same goal. In other countries, the women's quota has been very successful. But here in the Philippines, there is a division in ideas. Some legislators favor the quota, some legislators do not favor the quota.
Why don't you help us draft the measure, then we can study that?
We will be happy to do that, ma'am. Commissioner Guy and I will be very happy to
If you have a draft measure already, and if there would be a foreign country which is a model for this, then we could look into that. Which country is a model?
Yes, thank you, ma'am. In fact, Chair Bautista and I have are already planning a national conference in November or December. This is going to be a national conference on gender equality in elections and how to increase women's participation in elections. And there will be foreign speakers from other countries, and perhaps there will be some participants from the ASEAN. And we will call on elected women leaders all over the country, including our Muslim women leaders, elected leaders in Mindanao. This is the first of its kind of activity in COMELEC.
I'm
but
glad you mentioned
this
that.
is our launch.
Okay.
This is our launch.
We will support that, and
project.
I hope that pushes through in November. You mentioned that to me. It would be very helpful to have that conference. But second, could you kindly draft that measure, and we'll see if we could file it this or maybe in the next Congress. We'll check. But also, how do we encourage that? Yeah, both for local and for national elections.
And as you
national
yes,
offices.
ma'am. And as you suggested, we can link our voters education program. You were suggesting we will go down to the local positions, and we can do that in the provinces, just as we are doing the Gender Equality Forum and the trainings now in all provinces. That these questions for the candidates should include what have they done or what do they plan to do in the area of gender equality in their communities. So we can link voters edu with gender in implementing programs in COMELEC from now on. Because in fact, our website for the first time has a portal on gender and development, and that's new. That's only what, a few weeks old. So we intend to let the public know that we have a very active, sustained gender equality program and plan for the next 5 years. We are hoping that by the next presidential elections in 2022, there will be at least 30% women who have either run for office or are actually elected into office. Now we only have 18%, ma'am.
When you say 18%, that's for the local positions?
Including
or all?
everything, ma'am. From the president down to the kagawad.
What is ideal? 50?
The ideal, ma'am, is between 40 to 60. But 50 would be great.
But assuming we have 3 presidential candidates, although undeclared, so we will have 30% or 1/3 because one will be a woman. And that's not me, obviously, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, but we don't.
That's a national, pang-presidente yan, but undeclared pa.
But it's always good to have the group of women and the voices of women heard. And that's why in politics and election especially, women should really be able to participate.
You draft that quota bill, and let's see how people will react to that. We would welcome that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Senator Coco,
Yeah,
please.
thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe I can contribute some ideas when the COMELEC drafts the bill, although my staff is also drafting the bill. One avenue for improving women's participation in politics or even in Congress should be the party list system. And in one of my hearings in my committee, I actually proposed this, that in the listing at least of your nominees, can you not at least equalize, except for the women's party list, all women yun, okay yun. But for the other party list groups with non-gender-based advocacies, the suggestion was to alternate. The nominee number 1 is male, nominee number 2 should be female, 3 male, 4 female, 5 male, or the other way around. And that should not hurt them because the seat is for the party list. It's not for the person. Diba? So if you make it into the list of nominees, that's because you are a competent advocate of the party list organization's advocacies. So yun yun. But to my surprise, it did not get enthusiastic support from the resource persons present in that hearing. So I was surprised why. So yun. But I think that's one mechanism we can use it to equalize the party list. I mean, di ba? Is there damage if we require the party list to alternate their list of nominees? Because those are their candidates, di ba? Or advocates. It should not damage them, except for the women's party list. Dapat all women yun.
Your Honor, in our division, we always ask the question for party list applicants, even the regional political parties applicants. How many women are in your membership list? What percentage? How many women are in your officers list? Although we cannot require them, we make them understand that it's very important now for them to give us this alternate list or, 50-50.
Question. If we require them by law,
Yes, sir.
would that law be constitutionally infirm?
Why should it be constitutionally infirm, Your Honor, when the Constitution says there should be fundamental equality between men and women under the law?
Kung hindi nga, if it's not, then that means we can do it.
Yes, sir. We'll be
except
very
for
happy to
Except for
enforce
the women's party list group, yun lang. Kasi the seat belongs to the party list, di ba? It should not matter kung male or female yung representative mo. It doesn't matter.
Yes, sir. And Senator Nene Pimentel, who authored the local government code, provided for a sectoral, women's sector representative in the Sanggunian, sir.
Still, that's correct.
And up to now, since 1991, there is still no law to enforcing that provision. May we know if the Honorable Senator Coco Pimentel is taken some measure?
So I'm aware of that. We're going to study it. Lalo na yung mechanism where the sector is to be recognized. Parang ganun eh. The recognition of the sector per LGU has been delegated to the Sanggunian to recognize the sector. So, pipilitin na lang natin, no? Pipilitin natin, no? So, pwede po yun, no? Pwede po yun. And then, sa Congress naman, party list, their party list system. Unless you tell me there's something fundamentally objectionable to that approach. Ako, I don't see anything. Because the seat belongs to the organization. So, di ba? If your voice is brought by a male or a female, why should it matter? Di ba? Okay, so anyway, we can work on this, Commissioner Guanzon, to get for the next for the next Congress now. Because this is one lesson I've learned in my attendance in the Inter-Parliamentary Union. Grabe ang pag-value nila sa gender equality or equal representation between men and women. Parating in the report in the General Assembly, parating may report yun on what the status of women's representation in parliaments in the world. So nakikita yung gain. Tapos the countries, the delegations will have 2 votes if two votes only if they do not have a mixed delegation, but they will get 3 votes if there's both male and female in the delegation. So may value. They put a value. So we can learn from this practice. No? So yun. So we will continue to pursue this goal, no? To improve women's representation in government, be it LGU or in Congress, in national positions. Ma'am, you intend to write political parties, no, for report on the number of women in the membership? And the candidates?
They're intended candidates, sir.
Tanong nyo na rin siguro sa letter ninyo, and in leadership positions in the party.
And in leadership positions in the party.
Tama. Yan po, yung isang angle po yon. Okay, so wala pa ang chairperson. Can I go to another subject matter, the overseas absentee voting? We noticed that in 2013, the budget for this was 105,036,000. Can you give us a report? Were we able to achieve our goals, our desired results in 2013?
My figure is that the voters turnout was only 16.11%. Are we happy? Ano bang number po yung 16.11? Tapos pwede ko bang i-divide yung 105 million divided by the number of voters who voted? Then we will now get the cost per vote cast under the overseas absentee voting system. Chairman?
Senator Pimentel, well, there were questions asked earlier by our chairperson for the committee, and we directed the questions to the commissioner in charge of our overseas Filipino voters, which is Commissioner Art Lim.
Was it the same question? Because in the same question, I look at the TSN na lang. Was it the same? Hindi naman.
Hindi naman.
Sige ba? Okay, please answer po my question.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. In all candor, we are not happy with the outcome in 2013. It was a very poor 16%, but we take that as a challenge to encourage us to work harder, and hopefully, because 2016 is presidential, we might be able to increase the voter turnout, and we have identified problem areas. I was not able to mention it earlier, but there are also some political constraints. The concentration of Filipino voters is in the Middle East, and most of the governments there, as we all know, are monarchical or family ruled by families, and they really would not be happy seeing Filipino overseas workers exercising the right of suffrage, including the right to register in public places. So that leaves the Commission and the DFA no other recourse but to ask our kababayans to register in the various posts in the embassies. And when we do that, we come up with another constraint, which is the employment constraint. The employers are not prone to granting their domestic help or other workers leave to register. And earlier I also mentioned voter apathy. But I mentioned also, Mr. Senator, for whatever it may be worth, that we plan to invite the presidentiables, once they have declared, to come out in the open, very specifically, a specific platform of governance or platform that will benefit specifically the OFWs. We intend to upload this, give it the widest dissemination possible, post it in the various embassies abroad, in the Filipino channel, etc., and see whether their own interest in the OFW vote will generate a higher voter turnout, because sooner or later maybe not only the candidates but our people and we will come to realize that the OFW vote could be a game changer, not only in the senatorial but even in the presidential elections, because there is a total of, as I understand it, 8 million registered, 8 million potential voters. We have right now 1 million too, and by 31st October, the end of the registration period, we might be able to get 1.5 million. If you can make that a command vote, that would be a very big factor that can affect the elections. So there are a myriad of factors really to consider, and many constraints, foremost of which is our budget also. In 2015, we were given only 10 million. I cannot see how an agency like COMELEC can generate voter interest with just 10 million, because we need to disseminate information, pay honoraria of DFA, and travel to these various places. So we will be happier, sir, if the good committee and the Senate in general could possibly increase the 192 million DBM submission of the OPO budget to something like 250 million or even 300 million. as originally proposed. Thank
Oh,
you,
your
sir.
proposal was 222 million, I think, It's in my notes.
200, yes,
Ah,
I stand
So not
corrected.
300 million.
I stand
No,
corrected.
So that's why I'm going to ask you the net of 192 million plus is 87 million plus more than the 2013. Where will the
Sure, Honor.
where will this if approved, so this is what you're going to get.
Yes.
Where will this 87 million additional funding go?
Well, this time around, because there is an increase, obviously, in the number of voters, and also an increase in the various activities we are planning, including the Akyat Barco project of the former CIC, Compareño, where in places identified like Japan, ano pa yun? Portugal, because there are certain ports, Your Honor, where seafarers could be easily accessed and reached. Now, instead of the voters or our kababayans going to the post, leaving their vessels, our field registration officers will board the vessels, register them, and with a sustained activity generating voter interest, they could vote. Not by personal appearance, but through postal voting, which is allowed under our law. So there is also a need to defray a bigger amount of honoraria for the DFA personnel, especially if we go manual in certain places. Because with manual voting, we need more personnel to man the posts. But in areas where there is a bigger concentration of voters, we have presented to the NBank automated, where you need lesser number of people. So to answer you, sir, increased activities, increased voters, number of voters will mean also increased expenses. And may I just point out also that it is the COMELEC that defrays the travel expenses and the honoraria of DFA personnel, who are really our people on the ground, so to speak. They are the ones manning this, sir.
But are we aware of the 43 million plus in the DFA's budget for the implementation of the overseas absentee voting?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know where they put this, where they spend this on?
I really do not know, but I had a meeting already with USEC Segis, and they are very, very enthusiastically supporting OPOB, not only because it is also their mandate as DFA to ensure success in overseas voting, but they are also personally convinced that our people abroad should be allowed to exercise the right of suffrage. And I understand they also spend money to undertake their own dissemination program.
So if we look at the cost effectiveness of the entire program, it's not only the COMELEC's budget that we should look at. Mayroon pa pala sa DFA. Ngayon, we conduct overseas voting in how many countries or jurisdictions, sir?
Your Honor, I am reading here at least 60 embassies, 30 consulates, 3 MECO offices, 1 PLO, Philippine Labor Office in Polo Alcobar, 1 mission in Geneva, Philippine mission, and about 103 posts, I think.
3 posts, no?
103 posts.
No, that's just 85.
I am sorry, may I correct myself, sir? I understand it's 85 posts.
85 posts. Okay.
Yes.
May tatlo tayong close na, tatlong close. May 3 close posts.
Have there been
Baghdad and Libya.
Have there been results na 0? 0? Number of voters who voted, 0.
Syria, Baghdad,
marami.
And Libya.
And ano na to, in...
We have closed this already.
Okay, that's why yun na yung tanong ko nga. So,
Dahil zero.
85 posts you intend to conduct the overseas voting for 2016 in 85.
Yes, sir.
Pero reduced number na po yan.
Yes, Mr. Senator, because
Yun ang gusto ko malaman.
there are areas where we will also request that the jurisdiction, consular jurisdiction, be somewhat adjusted so that places that are really not contiguous could be accessed in just one postal voting system. Like, as I understand, in places where there are no embassies and consulates, the voters there, which are just very few, could just resort to postal voting.
So, itong 192 plus million would be spent for the 85 posts which will have overseas absentee voting in 2016.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yung 105 million plus pesos in 2013 was spent for the overseas voting in how many posts? So I will now from your answer, I will now know how many posts we have closed.
Can I get the statistics
Opo.
from the Director, Your Honor? For 2013?
Yes, sir, for 2013.
Sir, in 2013, there are around 92 posts, Your Honor. However, there are a lot of posts that closed, such that in 2016, we project to conduct voting in only 82 posts because
Again, number
82 posts.
82.
Because 3 posts were closed, such as Baghdad, Embassy in Baghdad, Embassy in Tripoli, and Consulate in Damascus.
Okay, para klaro in 2013, we conducted the overseas absentee voting in 92 posts.
Sir.
In 2016, we will be conducting it in 82 posts.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so meaning to say 10 posts have been closed.
Yes,
Tama?
sir.
Hindi yung more than 10 posts because we opened new posts. There are no new posts in 2016. Walang bago. These are all old posts. Ganun. Okay.
Yung post po, it depends on the DFA po, sir.
When you say post at this country or
Yes.
country or jurisdiction.
When we say post, sir, these are embassies, consulates, the Manila Economic Cultural Offices.
So one country can have more than one post?
Yes, sir.
So this is less than 82 countries, bale.
Actually, Your Honor, if you'll see, we have these 1.2 million Filipinos are registered in around 222 countries. And these 222 countries are under the consular jurisdiction of at least 85 posts.
So now I understand. So we can say actually that our overseas voting system reaches 222 countries. Parang gano'n. Because a Filipino based in these 222 countries, if he or she wants to, can vote.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So yun pala. And then, what are the, Commissioner Lim, what are the modes of voting allowed under the OAV?
Automated or manual, sir.
Automated.
And we plan to use automated in areas where there is a bigger concentration of
Like
voters.
Singapore, Hong Kong.
Like Singapore, Hong Kong, the Middle East.
And when you say manual, sir, yung postal, you put it under manual?
Yes, postal. We mail the ballots to the registered voters based on our database in the main office, and they fill this up and send it to the embassies concerned where they are located.
And then part of manual is yung not postal is the personal appearance, and then they cast their vote?
Yes.
Write on paper and then drop in a ballot box?
Yes, sir.
So personal appearance.
And I was referring actually earlier to postal voting.
Yes, we
that
have,
they can resort to that also.
we have postal voting in how many posts?
Honestly, sir, I do not have the exact number. Director Jane?
Ako ang feeling ko, we have not taken advantage of this yata. Dati yata, if I remember correctly, 4 lang, o mga 6, hindi.
No, Your Honor, actually, we took advantage of the postal voting. In the initial implementation, we only adopted in 3 countries.
3, o yun,
Yes,
yun ang
Your
nalala ko,
Honor.
yung initial. O, ganun
Then
pa.
eventually,
Yes.
we increased that in 2010 and 2013, such that, Your Honor, the majority of the posts then adopted postal voting.
Okay, and this is by virtue of COMELEC resolution only, no? So by COMELEC resolution, you authorize postal voting. Okay, so to summarize, Commissioner Lim, so the modes for voting under the overseas absentee voting system would be the automated machine or personal appearance or postal voting. No other form. Wala na. So, okay. Okay. Yes, yun na.
Internet is not yet allowed.
In the future, there might be a fourth
Yes.
mode. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sige, so siguro sir, in my other committee, in my electoral reform committee, if we could, after your experience now with this overseas nakailang cycles na ba tayo sa overseas absentee voting?
It's 2004, it's 4.
4. So 4, 7, 10, 13.
13.
Naka-4 na po tayo. So maybe after then 16 pa. So after 5 OAV elections, maybe it's time for the COMELEC to give some concrete proposals on how to improve. Kasi for example, ang rule ba ngayon 30 days pa rin, di ba? Yeah, so I mean, is that practical? Dati nga 60, kaya in-adjust sa 30. Pero when I go abroad, when I talk to the ambassador or the consular people, they tell me that sometimes there will be days na wala rin tao. Wala rin. So, tapos because of their limited space, they're forced to put up a tent, and then because of the hot and humid weather, they are forced to put air conditioner. So, and for 30 days po yung naka-on, wala daw tao. So siguro sa after 2016 na, we will not touch it now kasi so that walang surprises, but naka 5 cycles na po tayo. Maybe it's time to really propose concrete improvements in the system. But you believe we need to improve the system?
Definitely, sir.
Good. So
definitely.
So we will have
16% turnout is not good. We have to find ways to increase that.
We're not serving lunch, so we have to adjourn. We have to suspend. Ilocana ang chair. I'm sorry to interrupt. You're done?
I'm done. Okay.
Yeah, no,
Come on,
they were
thank you,
here
Madam
early.
Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be rude to you, no? I'm just, yes, we thank you for answering all our questions. We hope that suggestions can be made. These are meant to create more efficiency and better COMELEC, namely the 4B RD and communications IEC from national downscale to local officials, and then the proposed measure for gender and development, gender equality, which we can jointly file here. I'm sure many of our colleagues would also want that, a study on that, and just ensure a fair, honest, transparent elections so that there will be no questions that just because you were appointed by the present administration that you will favor the administration candidate. That's always the allegation, right? So we are certain that with the chair being there, and we know many of you, just so that all these upheavals brought about by in every election year will not happen. Okay, he and I are veterans of election, being victimized by election fraud, but I by the manual. Ikaw manual din ba nun? Manual also, yeah. Which reminds me, as a last question, all the ERs are no longer in the COMELEC, no? Nasunog eh. So there's nothing from the 204 elections that are there anymore. Wala na, na? Para may souvenir naman ako. Because I've asked the Supreme Court and they always say, it's just there, but no one has ever, I wanted my evidence, so.
With, yeah.
Submit the report, Chair. You can submit.
Yeah, just anything about the 204 elections.
Souvenir lang hinihingi ni Madam
Yeah,
Chair. Sige,
anything
we will
about
look.
the ERs. Wala na yun, nandun pa ba yun?
Pero nasunog na kami noong
Nasunog.
2007. Ay,
Wala na yun.
na-dispose na daw.
Na-dispose na.
Kahit na walang isa man lang pang souvenir.
Hindi, wala na nga. Hindi bale, baka sa Supreme Court ko na lang hihingin yung mga ebidensya doon. Ngayon yung, di ba dati 6 ang ER? 6 na kopya?
Ngayon, 30 na.
30.
30 ang...
Yeah. Kasi, para lang nakakatuwa yung nangyari sa amin noon. Sa isang presinto, manual na, no?
30.
Yeah. Before, 6, right? 6 carbonized copies. So they should be identical because they're carbonized.
That's right.
So there was one precinct, I'm trying to recall, I'll get it from the Supreme Court. One precinct, the ER that was sent to the Batasan was different from the ER of the political party. The results were different. That's very funny, right?
Hindi dapat yun. No?
Yes, that means
merong,
there
merong
was,
direktor.
yes. Of course, they'll say, ano ba naman yung isang presinto? But it's just a sample of how it was then. And that's what I wanted. That was my evidence. Chairman Boy was my lawyer. No? Attorney Boy, he was my election lawyer, along with Attorney Avelino Cruz of Accra, not Ave Cruz of, not the other Cruz.
No.
And the third is Rufus. But then we left all our evidence with the Supreme Court. And I think the COMELEC then was also subpoenaed. So anyway, it burned. So our memories have been burned. Okay, so thank you very much. Yes.
Now, let me also share one experience. And now, this way, I would like to thank, and I'd like to thank the COMELEC then for its inefficiency. You know what happened, ma'am? The regional...
Sinong chairman mo? Nung inefficient?
Abalos time and even before Abalos, the regional government of ARM already renamed a municipality. But the COMELEC continued to use the old name of the municipality. Therefore, on the ballot was printed the old name of the municipality. That's the official ballot. Because siguro the transmission of the information got delayed or the COMELEC did not act on the new name. So, but the perpetrators of the fraud who stuffed the ballot boxes with the fake ballots used the new name. So, that was a blessing in disguise, making my allegations of fraud very easy or easier to prove because of the inefficiency of the COMELEC. You were using the old name. The syndicate was more updated and used the new name. So thank you for to the COMELEC for that giveaway.
We hope not to repeat the inefficiency, Senator
No,
Pimentel.
I don't know if I should raise this, but maybe I should. Because there are groups who have been coming to us discrediting both 2010 and 2013 elections and saying that there was some mistakes in the PCOS. You know that, no? Ting Ting is one of them, right? You did that.
We did an exercise.
You did that already?
Under the committee of
Because
Senator Pimentel.
I just wanted you...
We did an exercise.
It's been
Yeah.
answered. I just want to know, for example, former Governor Ting Ting Coangco has assured it to me, I do not understand it, and I wanted both the techies and the lawyers to understand, prove or disprove the so-called allegations. You've done that already.
We spent a lot of time and effort on this. There were allegations that in 3 ballot boxes or 3 precincts, a court confirmed the fraud, the mistaken count by the machine. So we went over each and every ballot. Nagkaroon po ng discrepancy on the paper ballot. But if we remove the discrepancy, the machine counted correctly.
There is this former congressman from Region 8, no? Who's always
Glenn Chong.
bringing it up. Is it a local protest or does he have something?
His issue is 2010 about double transmissions, actually. Although we have heard this, actually, I think I need to hear again the explanation of the COMELEC on the allegations of former Congressman Chong about double transmissions, about a precinct transmitting and more than once, and then the consolidation system accepting the transmission of the precinct. So maybe just take a look at, as well as please take a second look at the explanation, and if you could reduce this into layman's terms so that we will understand.
It's always good to look at criticisms and have a ready answer for that. Where there's smoke, there's fire. The other naman can be just purely conjecture or imagination, but we'll see. It's always good to look at everything that comes out in black propaganda in the papers or wherever, so that we're ready. Yes. So thank you very much, Chair Andy, and all our esteemed COMELEC officials. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and Senator Pimentel.
We are done with the hearing, and we deemed it approved and to be submitted to plenary.
Thank you.
Thank you.